Doing things by yourself is not an act of independence, it's an act of bravery. My dad used to say, if you're not busy living, you're busy dying. That's also part of the greater vision, is that when you do those things, you're going to be a happier, healthier version of you. And that's why it's so important. Hello everybody, it has been a long time since I've filmed anything at home. And so this feels a little bit odd for me. But I was recently at an event. I was at a morning sunrise yoga class where there were the montgolfières, which is hot air balloons. I barely slept last night because I'm so excited. I feel very light and refreshed. I actually cried at the end of the yoga. Yeah, I got a little emotional at the end, but it was a really amazing morning. Definitely worth the 4:45 a.m. wake up. I'm so zen, I feel like I have no idea what to say because I'm just like blissed out. And while I was there, I realized that I was one of the only people who came to the event alone. Everyone had a group of friends or at least one other person that they were there with. It made me realize how uncommon it is to actually do things by yourself. And then while I was there, I was thinking, well, it'd be really cool maybe to do a video on how I started to feel comfortable, what I did to start feeling comfortable doing things on my own. Recently, also on one of my shorts, somebody had asked me if I could make a longer video about this, about me becoming more comfortable doing things on my own and how you can get to that point. If you're new here, or if you haven't yet done so, I would invite you to quickly hit the subscribe button below before continuing with the video. I make content about adventuring, traveling. We're going to the UK soon, so there's going to be a lot of content about that coming up in October. That's the gist of my channel, so just make sure to hit that subscribe button before you continue. So where does this story start? Once upon a time, I was a young lad. Not a lad, I was never a man. I was a young woman, a young lady, and I was going through one heck of a time in life. And it was towards the end of high school. I had just gone through a really intense period in my life. I was struggling a lot with my mental health and whatnot. And then I had come back from this phase, or come out of this phase stronger than ever, kind of really wanting to take on the world from a different perspective. And one of my teachers came up to me and told me about leadership camp and told me that they thought that this would be a really great opportunity for me, and gave me the little form that I had to fill out and told me that it would be really nice if I could go. And at the time, I didn't know anyone who was going to this leadership camp. The name leadership camp by itself sounded really cringy to me. But at the time, I didn't care how cringy it sounded. I also didn't care that I didn't have any friends that I knew going. And I decided that I just needed to see something new, try something new, because the ways that I was doing things in life, they weren't making me happy, and I didn't feel fulfilled in my life in high school. Obviously, I was really young at this point. But yeah, they just weren't making me feel that great. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to try this whole leadership camp. And I ended up loving it. There was a lot of team building activities and whatnot. And yeah, I really liked it. And I think that was one of my very first experiences doing something alone. I was away from home for 3 days, and I didn't really know anybody at the camp. It was all different schools from our school board. So yeah, I didn't really have many friends there. I ended up making some friends. Actually, funny story, if you guys watch my other videos, Bravery actually went to that camp, and we didn't start being friends while we were at that camp. She was actually in my group for all of the teamwork, but we weren't friends after that. We only became friends in the last year. But yeah, I actually met Bree for the first time at that leadership camp. I think from there I started to go to New York City because I was interested in a guy at the time around the age of 19, and I was going to see this person. But I didn't always go with somebody, so I would catch the night bus to New York City from Montreal. And then once I was there, that person worked a normal job, so they weren't able to do that much while I was there all the time. And I was like, well, I'm in New York City, I want to experience as much of this as possible. At the time, I was also really into writing, so that's when I would start going to coffee shops by myself and just start writing in my notebook and stuff. And then I started saying why not go to fancy restaurants? So I would go to super fancy like resto, pub, tavern kind of restaurants. And I remember specifically one night, like I went to one and I was all dressed up, and I got to the door and they were like, "Oh, table for two," and I was like, "No, it's just for one," and they were like, "For one?" And they looked at me really odd, and I feel like that probably doesn't happen very often there. And I was like, "Yeah, for one," and I ate there by myself. And in all honesty, it was really awkward. It was, but I was in New York City and I really wanted to experience these things, so I did it. And that is like kind of my second big experience of me doing things by myself. I think that in New York, I found this kind of like peace in being by myself, in no one really knowing where I was, and in me just being able to experience everything like at my own pace and everything. I started to really enjoy that. And like I said, it was really awkward at the beginning, but you kind of get used to the awkwardness. When I got home from New York, I had so much more confidence since I already started doing it there. Plus there I was in a completely different city. And so I started to like, there was like these events that would come up and I would really want to go to them. I can think of one, for example, was with the spoken word artist Shane Koisizan, something like that. And I really, really loved his work and I really wanted to go to a show, but no one was really interested in poetry that I knew. And so I booked my ticket by myself, and that was so fun. Like I loved going to that show by myself. So yeah, I think I just realized that sometimes there's going to be no one to do the things with you that you really want to do. And as I was kind of prepping this video, it led me into like deeper thought. But before I get into that part, I'm going to just finish off like my story of doing things by myself by saying that after those things, I like going to that poetry thing by myself, and I started going to like some music shows by myself. I started to become much more comfortable with it, and my interests kind of changed. We had started doing lots of road trips at the time, and sleeping in the car. I had done this with a friend in the past, and then I was doing it with Jeremy. And I always felt dependent on them. Like if it was up to me, I would be out in nature every weekend or every second weekend. But I started to feel really dependent on them. And I remember a specific point with one of my friends in the past when we went island camping for the first time. That was my first camping experience. And I remember coming home from that and thinking I could never do that without her, because like I would get lost and I wouldn't know how to book the place and all of those things. Like I was just like, basically without this person, I can't do the things that I want to do. And I think that the key in all of this is to just take like little baby steps and prove to yourself that you can do these things one little step at a time, like booking the campground, like following the map or the GPS by yourself, little baby steps, or going like start off at a coffee shop. It doesn't have to be like a fancy restaurant. Or a huge show, you know. But yeah, just little baby steps to like prove to yourself that you're able to do the things that you want to do without someone else. I think that's like the most important place to start, because it builds up your confidence in yourself and in your capabilities to be on your own. I wrote this thing in my journal at the end of me just like planning a little bit for this video and like what I wanted to tell you guys about and like about how I got here. And this is the conclusion that I came up with. And I want to read it because I feel like it explains it better than I could ever like say it without preparation. So lo and behold, this is what I wrote. I wrote, doing things alone doesn't mean you like being alone, or that you're necessarily good at it or unafraid. But it's a decision to be brave, because if not, you risk losing out on a lot of life that could have been spent living instead of waiting for others. Sometimes doing the things alone is what will help you become a grander version of yourself and attract the people who will do the things with you. And so I think that there's different things to unpack there. Number one, the idea of like doing things alone means like you're this independent, like bad bitch kind of thing. I am the least independent person I know. I think that like when I was younger, people used to say that I was really independent. And I like now looking at myself and like knowing myself really well, I can confidently say that I am not an independent person. Like I am very dependent on other people and love and affection and community. Those are all things that are very important to me. I don't want to be like secluded. I don't want to live through things alone. You guys have seen me cry more times than I can count on camera, just because I don't like to be alone doing things, and I wish I had someone to experience them with at times. So I would not consider myself like an independent boss bitch or anything like that. Like that's the furthest thing from who I am. I think that you have to just do it anyways, and like doing things alone is just choosing to be brave and to try to get comfortable with things that are uncomfortable, because you have this greater vision. When you do the things that actually interest you, the person that you'll become from doing those things, that's going to attract your people. And so, yeah, I think that doing things by yourself is not an act of independence, it's an act of bravery. Also, I think that if you spend like so much time just waiting for people, as I said, yeah, you are wasting a lot of life to be lived. Like, you're wasting a lot of time that could be spent living. My dad used to say, if you're not busy living, you're busy dying. And it made me sad towards the end, because I feel like he felt like he wasn't able to live as much as he wanted to. Like, he wasn't able to travel and to go on his road trips and everything. And like, he held himself back because he was so scared of what was going to happen. And I would always tell him, I was like, Dad, just go out and do it. Like, I know you're scared, but it's going to make you feel so much better, you know? I think that if you're scared, you're living in this like low frequency, obviously. Like, fear is a low frequency vibration, but you're also flooding your body with like stress and cortisol and all those hormones that are not good for you. And once you get through that little fear and you just get out there and you're doing the thing and you're in nature, all of the good things happen in your body. And I think that's also part of the greater vision, is that when you do those things, you're going to be a happier, healthier version of you. And that's why it's so important to be brave and just do it, even if you're not an independent person. And then, yeah, the last part of what I wrote is just like, when you do all of that, you're going to attract the people who you would probably get along with really, really well. Like, if I was still thinking like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this, if I can do like the solo road trips, or if I can do these solo things, then I would probably just stay at home and not do any of them. And then how would I find my friends that like love to adventure and love to be outdoors? Because I'm not even putting myself out there for them to know that I love those things. Like, the things that have attracted most of my friends nowadays to me is what they see me doing regularly, which is being in nature. And they see that and they're like, oh, that's so cool, I want to do more of that too, we should be friends, kind of thing. Or they're already doing a lot of that, we should be friends. I have a van, we should be friends. Or, you know, so it's important to go beyond the fear, just so that you can truly be who you're meant to be, and be who you are, and show up as that version of yourself so that you can attract the right tribe. And now I feel like I've been rambling for a really long time. This is something that I'm really passionate about, though. I'm really passionate about feeling the fear and doing it anyways. And I think that's about it. That's my little ramble for the week. I think hopefully next week the video is going to be about us selling our Dodge Grand Caravan, because we're selling it hopefully this week, and about why you shouldn't rent out your car or van online. And what problems it's made for us, and like how we weren't able to keep the van, and why we're not keeping the van, and all those things. So anyways, that's going to be next week's video, so make sure to tune into that, because I know a lot of people have been asking for it. Don't forget to subscribe, give a thumbs up to the video, and to comment letting me know what other videos you're looking forward to seeing. In October, that is when the amazing content is starting with our UK trip. So excited, so please stay tuned for that. I will see you next Sunday. Bye guys.